There are people who spend their lives chasing success, but they sabotage it daily because they cannot master the very thing that drives their decisions. Their emotions, your degrees, your talents, and your opportunities may open doors, but it is emotional intelligence that keeps those doors from closing on you. How you respond when you are rejected, how you act when you are offended, how you treat others when you are in pain, these are the true measures of your power. For the battles that destroy destinies are rarely fought in public arenas. They are fought in the secret chambers of the heart. Let me tell you this. I once met a man who lost everything. Not because he lacked brilliance, but because he lacked control. He was gifted, intelligent, and talented, yet his anger consumed him. At every opportunity, his emotions overpowered his wisdom, and what could have been a life of greatness ended in regret. And then I met a woman with far fewer resources, but with deep mastery over her emotions. She rose above betrayal, managed conflict with calm, and inspired everyone she touched with grace. While the man burned bridges, she built them. And today she leads while he mourns. Success is not about being the loudest voice in the room. It is about being the calmest presence in the storm. When you detach emotionally, you no longer react out of fear, ego, or insecurity. Instead, you respond with wisdom, strategy, and clarity. To master emotional intelligence is to walk with strength that cannot be shaken, for you are no longer controlled by what is outside of you. You govern what is within you. And when you master what is within, everything outside begins to align. Self-awareness is the bedrock of all true wisdom, for you cannot master what you do not first recognize. Too many people stumble through life not knowing why they react the way they do, why they repeat the same patterns, or why they are stuck in cycles of pain and disappointment. But the moment you begin to pause, to reflect, and to notice your own emotions as they rise within you, you step into the realm of power. Self-awareness is the mirror that reveals both your strength and your weakness, and it gives you the opportunity to choose differently. When anger rises, you see it for what it is, not as your identity, but as a passing wave. When fear whispers, you discern its voice, not to obey it, but to challenge it. To be aware of yourself is to stand as an observer of your own life. And in that observation comes clarity. It is not about suppressing emotions, but about understanding them, tracing them back to their roots, and deciding how they will or will not govern you. Without self-awareness, people blame others for what they themselves have not confronted within. But with it, you recognize that responsibility is the pathway to growth. It teaches you that success is not only in what you do, but in who you are becoming as you do it. And when you know yourself deeply, you cannot be easily swayed by the chaos outside, because you have already learned to govern the storms within. Self-regulation is the mark of inner strength, the quiet power that allows a person to rise above the impulses that would otherwise sabotage their destiny. It is one thing to feel the rush of anger, jealousy, or fear, but it is another to pause, breathe, and choose a higher response. The undisciplined heart reacts, but the regulated heart responds. Self-regulation does not mean denying what you feel. It means mastering it so that emotions become servants, not masters. Imagine the force of a river. It can either flood and destroy everything in its path or be channeled to generate energy and life. Emotions work the same way. When guided with discipline, they become a source of wisdom, motivation, and focus. But when left uncontrolled, they can burn bridges, fracture relationships, and derail opportunities. Those who regulate themselves carry an aura of calm even in chaos, for they are not tossed around by every storm. They choose silence when words would wound, patience when haste would destroy, and wisdom when pride would demand retaliation. This restraint is not weakness. It is strength refined by self-mastery. It is in the moments when you could lash out, but instead remain steady, that true power is revealed. Self-regulation is the discipline of leaders, the anchor of visionaries, and the shield of those who rise above mediocrity. When you govern yourself, you command respect without demanding it, and you walk in the kind of authority that no title, position, or wealth could ever grant. Empathy is the bridge that connects hearts, the invisible thread that binds humanity together. It is the ability to step outside of yourself and feel the world through the eyes of another, to sense their pain, their joy, their silent struggles, and their unspoken dream. Many people listen with their ears, but never hear with their hearts, and so they miss the chance to truly connect. Empathy is not about agreeing with everyone or excusing their flaws. It is about honoring their humanity, recognizing that every soul carries battles unseen. When you cultivate empathy, you gain influence far greater than authority because people respond not to titles, but to those who make them feel understood. A leader who lacks empathy may command compliance, but a leader with empathy inspires loyalty. In personal relationships, empathy creates safety where trust can flourish and walls can come down. It transforms conflict into understanding and indifference into compassion. It is a strength, not a weakness, because it requires courage to feel what others feel without being consumed by it. Empathy aligns with emotional detachment in that you do not lose yourself in another's struggle. Instead, you stand beside them with clarity and strength, offering support without drowning in their storm. When you carry empathy, you become a mirror of love and understanding, and this presence alone can heal wounds deeper than words can reach. To be empathetic is to carry the divine ability to see another not as they appear, but as they truly are. Social awareness is the art of perceiving beyond what is spoken, of sensing the subtle currents that flow within human interaction. It is the ability to read the room, to discern unspoken needs, and to recognize the emotions that others may not voice yet still carry. Many move through life blind to the atmosphere around them, unaware of the signals, the energy, and the silent messages people communicate through tone, posture, and presence. But those who cultivate social awareness hold an advantage that knowledge alone cannot grant. They understand timing, when to speak, when to remain silent, when to push forward, and when to step back. Social awareness allows you to engage with people not just on the surface, but at the level of their reality, creating bonds built on trust and understanding. It transforms interactions from transactions into connections, and in doing so, it fosters harmony rather than friction. In professional settings, it is the difference between a leader who drives results through fear and one who inspires results through connection. In personal life, it is the difference between conflict and compassion, between isolation and belonging. This awareness aligns with emotional detachment, for it requires observing without judgment, perceiving without projection, and responding with clarity rather than assumption. When you become socially aware, you rise above mere reaction and begin to flow in rhythm with the dynamics around you. And in that flow, success, influence, and peace naturally follow, for you move with wisdom in a world of noise. Relationship management is the mastery of weaving connections that endure beyond convenience, beyond circumstance, and beyond fleeting emotion. It is the conscious act of nurturing trust, maintaining respect, and guiding interactions toward growth rather than conflict. Many people believe relationships thrive only on love or shared goals, but true strength lies in the deliberate practice of patience, empathy, and accountability. It is the wisdom to speak truth with grace, to correct without crushing, and to lead without dominating. Relationship management is not about control, but about alignment, bringing hearts, minds, and purposes into harmony. In professional spaces, it creates teams that do not merely work together, but thrive together, driven by unity and shared vision. In personal spaces, it sustains bonds when storms arise, keeping communication open and intentions pure. This skill requires emotional detachment, for only when you are not enslaved by ego or offense can you handle disagreements with clarity and resilience. The detachment allows you to listen without reacting, to forgive without bitterness, and to stand firm without hostility. To manage relationships well is to recognize that every interaction is an opportunity to plant seeds of trust, encouragement, or wisdom that may bloom long after the moment has passed. Those who master this principle do not just influence people, they transform them. They become the steady presence others look to in times of uncertainty, the voice of calm in conflict, and the force of inspiration that compels hearts to rise higher. Decision-making under pressure is one of the greatest tests of emotional intelligence because it reveals the depth of a person's clarity, discipline, and inner strength. In moments where time is short, stakes are high, and emotions run strong, many fall prey to fear, impulse, or confusion. Yet those who have cultivated emotional intelligence approach such moments with composure, allowing calmness to guide their choices rather than panic. They understand that pressure does not demand haste, but wisdom. They pause long enough to separate facts from feelings, to hear the still voice of reason above the noise of fear. This pause is not weakness, but power, for it reflects mastery over self rather than surrender to circumstance. Detachment plays a vital role here, enabling one to resist being swayed by anger, stress, or the expectations of others. It grants the ability to step outside of the moment, as though watching from a higher vantage point, where perspective is sharper and decisions are aligned with long-term vision rather than short-term relief. Those who develop this skill inspire trust because others see in them a steadiness that does not crumble under weight. Their choices carry conviction because they are born of reflection, not reaction. In leadership, it separates those who collapse under fire from those who turn crises into defining moments. In life, it ensures that decisions shape destiny, not regrets. To decide well under pressure is to prove that mastery over the self is greater than the chaos outside. Empathy in relationships is the heartbeat of emotional intelligence, for it bridges the distance between souls and allows one to see through the eyes of another. To empathize is more than to feel sorry. It is to enter into the unspoken emotions of another person and acknowledge their reality with compassion and respect. In personal relationships, empathy strengthens bonds, heals wounds, and creates safety, because when a person feels seen and understood, trust blossoms effortlessly. It becomes the foundation upon which intimacy is built, where love is not just spoken but deeply felt. In professional settings, empathy elevates communication, resolves conflict, and nurtures collaboration. A leader who listens with empathy creates an environment where people feel valued, and in turn, they give their best with loyalty and commitment. Detachment plays a subtle but essential role here, for empathy is not about drowning in another's emotions, but about connecting without losing balance. It allows one to offer presence without being consumed, guidance without judgment, and support without control. This balance is what makes empathy transformative. It uplifts without entangling. Through empathy, we affirm the humanity of others, reminding them they are not alone in their struggles or their triumph. It becomes a silent force that unites people, breaks down walls of misunderstanding, and fosters harmony in places where division once reigned. Empathy is not weakness, but wisdom, for in understanding others, we also expand our own understanding of life itself. Adaptability is the silent strength that allows emotional intelligence to thrive in an ever-changing world. Life does not remain still, and neither do the emotions, circumstances, or environments we face. To be adaptable is to embrace change without fear, to adjust without losing one's sense of self, and to see challenges not as threats, but as opportunities for growth. In personal life, adaptability nurtures resilience, because it prevents one from being crushed under the weight of unexpected disappointments. It creates space for patience, for flexibility, and for the ability to flow with life rather than resist it. In professional environments, adaptability is the mark of true leadership and wisdom. Teams and organizations change, crises arise, and opportunities often come disguised as obstacles. The one who can remain calm, centered, and open to new approaches is the one who rises above chaos and inspires others to do the same. Yet true adaptability does not mean compromise of principles. Rather, it is rooted in detachment, the ability to separate identity from circumstance and strength from outcomes. This detachment allows a person to pivot gracefully without losing direction, to experiment without fear of failure, and to learn without clinging to rigid expectations. Adaptability, then, is not only a skill but a spiritual posture, a willingness to trust that every change carries within it the seed of transformation. It empowers individuals to face the unknown with courage, knowing that growth is not found in resistance, but in openness to what comes next. Decision-making is one of the clearest demonstrations of emotional intelligence because it reveals the ability to balance reason with feeling, clarity with compassion, and vision with practicality. Every choice we make is influenced by emotion, whether acknowledged or not, and those who lack awareness often allow fleeting impulses or unchecked fears to dictate their direction. The strength of emotional intelligence lies in slowing down long enough to recognize what is truly driving a decision. Is it fear disguised as caution? Is it pride masquerading as confidence? Or is it wisdom rising from a calm and steady heart? In personal life, emotionally intelligent decision-making prevents regret because it ensures that choices are not born from haste or pressure, but from alignment with values and purpose. In professional settings, It strengthens leadership by enabling individuals to make decisions that serve both short-term needs and long-term vision, while also considering the emotional impact on others. This does not mean that every decision will please everyone, but it ensures that choices are made with fairness, empathy, and integrity. Spiritual detachment also plays a role here, allowing one to make decisions without being enslaved by the fear of loss or the intoxication of gain. Such detachment grants freedom, ensuring that the mind is not clouded by temporary emotions, but guided by clarity and higher wisdom. Ultimately, emotionally intelligent decision-making transforms choices into steps of purpose, building lives and legacies that are not reactive but deeply intentional. Resilience in relationships and career is deeply rooted in emotional intelligence because it equips individuals to face inevitable setbacks with grace rather than despair. Life is filled with challenges that test patience, faith, and inner strength. And without emotional awareness, these trials can easily break one's spirit. Emotional intelligence provides the tools to process pain without becoming imprisoned by it, to acknowledge disappointment without losing hope, and to keep moving forward with a steady heart. In relationships, resilience shows up as the ability to forgive, to adapt, and to rebuild trust, rather than allowing conflict or misunderstanding to destroy bonds that matter. It allows people to communicate openly, listen with empathy, and weather storms together instead of walking away at the first sign of difficulty. In career, resilience manifests as persistence in the face of rejection, adaptability during change, and determination to continue pursuing goals even when obstacles seem overwhelming. Those with emotional intelligence understand that failure is not final but a stepping stone to growth. And setbacks are opportunities to refine character and sharpen focus. Spiritual detachment plays a vital role in resilience because it keeps the heart anchored in inner strength rather than external outcomes. This detachment allows one to rise again without bitterness, to learn lessons without self-condemnation, and to move forward with renewed clarity. Resilience rooted in emotional intelligence is not about avoiding pain, but about transforming it into wisdom, strength, and fuel for greater success. True success is not measured by titles, possessions, or applause, but by the strength of character, clarity of spirit, and depth of wisdom we carry within. Emotional intelligence is the silent power that shapes how we love, how we lead, and how we rise when life tries to break us. It teaches us that self-mastery is greater than control over others, that peace within is the foundation for influence without, and that resilience, empathy, and awareness are the true currencies of greatness. When you choose to master your emotions, you are no longer a prisoner of circumstance, but an architect of destiny. Guard your heart, sharpen your awareness, and detach from what drains your spirit, for the world does not shape you. You shape the world through the strength of your inner life. The greatest victory you will ever win is not over others, but over yourself.